You a dyke in the box, so now listen. The way you pitching, you gon' need more than a mound visit. You sound timid and I don't kick it with round midgets that hound.
So apparently, Bret the Hitman Hart has signed a WWE Legends contract. This was not announced by WWE. It was not announced by Bret Hart. It was leaked, let's say, via the dirt sheets. So take it for what it's worth. But ultimately, the end game here is that a lot of people are upset that Bret Hart was supposedly signing with a WWE and therefore not going to be present during the finals of the Owen Hart tournament and will not be managing FTR or doing anything in the ring with CM Punk, like a segment or something like that, because he is now under WWE contract. So now the conspiracy theory is that Vince McMahon signed Bret Hart to a Legends contract, knowing Bret Hart has been a free agent for all of these many years. And he is signing this contract or offered Bret all of this money just because FTR and CM Punk have been trying to get him to join AEW, him being Bret the Hitman Hart. This is not a smart tier segment. This is more of a bubble buster segment. WWE offered Bret the Hitman Hart a Legends contract in 2018. Yes, that is 4 years ago. And he turned them down. Here is his reasons why Bret the Hitman Hart was offered a Legends contract in 2018. Here is why he turned them down. Quote, I think I'm one of the few guys that these Legends contracts sound great, but they own your soul. It's like signing your life to the devil. He says, I'm Bret the Hitman Hart, and I don't want to give WWE my name. It took me 14 years of hard labor to own the rights to my name. That was one of the conditions when I left. To go back now and just give it to them, I'm doing fine with it on my own. I don't like to be owned by WWE. I like to be good friends with them. That was his quote about why he didn't want to sign a Legends contract in 2018. 2018, 4 years ago. 4 years ago, Bret Hart started a video series called Confessions of the Hitman. You can go to the website, pay $30 to $5 Canadian, and there's a list of videos of him talking about stories and all that kind of stuff. In that time, he also did start doing the Roots of Fight merchandise contract. And this is the gear that you probably saw CM Punk wearing on Dynamite. It was official Bret Hart merchandise from Roots of Fight. He also started doing NFTs. People were upset that he started doing the Cartoon World NFTs. This was, I think, earlier this year, earlier in 2020 or late 2021, one of the two. So Bret has taken his name and he's done a lot of different things. He did the Confessions of the Hitman. He did the Roots of Fight stuff. He did some other things. And now in 2022, who knows? Now, do I believe that whatever WWE did to get Bret Hart to sign this contract, that they did it because of AEW and the threat thereof of them bringing him to Dynamite? I do believe that there may have been a reason why they did that. Okay? I'm not going to say that there's no chance, but understand, WWE, of course, wants to have all of their legends under Legends deals. But not everybody who has one likes the concept. It's the same thing with the Hall of Fame. Some people think it's not enough money. Some people think it's too much control that the company will have over your likeness or your image or whatever or whatever. That is another component to this. That is a problem. And if Bret Hart used AEW as a bargaining chip and saying, hey, they're willing to give me money and let me do whatever I want, hey, maybe you guys probably should, give me the freedom to do whatever I want. And I don't see that the Roots of Fight gear is going anywhere, or Confessions of the Hitman, or anything else that he's doing is going anywhere. So is it likely that WWE is going to sign him to a Legends contract that will offer him, signings and keep him busy, but it won't restrict him in the usage of his name? Maybe in certain ways it will restrict him. Now, he still will be the manager for FTR at a June big time wrestling show. And so they will get their Bret Hart in their corner. That will happen. It just won't happen on AEW. I don't see CM Punk or FTR being upset at all that this guy got the bag. They're probably kind of pissed that, they were working on this thing, and then Vince came in with the big gold coins and just, snatched up the idea. That might be frustrating, but for the most part, I don't see this being a big problem or a big story that we need to make a big deal out of. The newest leak from that thing is Meltzer saying that he talked to Bret Hart personally. Why would he be talking to Bret Hart about this? Anyway, he talked to Bret Hart, and Bret Hart said that he was not contacted by AEW to be in Las Vegas, which I believe is Double or Nothing, for the finals of the Owen Hart tournament. Because everybody wants Bret to be there to help present the awards to the winners of the Owen Hart tournament. That it should be one big Hart family thing. Of course, the problem with that is Martha. Martha does not like Bret. And Bret doesn't really care for Martha. So this whole thing was never going to go the way people thought it was. It was not going to go that way. All right. These people have 20 years of bad blood between the two of them. Yes, I know Vince and Bret has some bad blood too, but this is different. Martha is a little bit more vindictive, and there is no financial incentive for her to change her mind. She can milk the Owen Hart, and I don't mean that negatively, but I just mean it as in the usage of the term. She can milk the Owen Hart name as much as she wants. She doesn't need Bret's permission. She doesn't need the permission of any of the other Harts. She can make any other deals that she wants to make. All right? So she can do whatever she wants. She doesn't need Bret, and she doesn't really like Bret. Now, one of the many things that I saw online was the idea that the Harts fell out because of Martha suing WWE, and all the other Harts were against it. This is false. Bret was actually one of the Harts that was actually for the lawsuit and was actually supporting her in the lawsuit, because again, this is when Bret was mad at Vince and Owen just died. So most of the family were all behind Martha when it came to the lawsuit. Now the problems came when certain, let's say the lawyers, let's put it like that, the lawyers that worked for Martha didn't work for the rest of the Harts. So they didn't keep the rest of the Harts in the loop over what was going on in the lawsuit. They talked solely to Martha. So then, and what ended up happening is there started to be some issues. For instance, they were not letting the family know that Martha was offered like $30 million by Vince McMahon. And they would have, of course, supported, hey, let's shut it down. Martha was the kind of person who wanted to burn the entire company to the ground. That, $30 million isn't enough. And then she started doing a lot of other things that I'm not going to get into. Go watch my Owen Hart video from Dark Side of the Ring if you want the details of this thing. But Martha Hart started doing some stuff that wasn't completely above board. And then the other Harts, not Bret, but the sisters, started sort of outing Martha. So then what happened there is once the family knows that Martha is doing some stuff that she probably shouldn't be doing, that's when everybody started getting upset with her. And that is what the break was. And then, of course, British Bulldog goes back to WWF. That was a big problem because Diana and Davey was still married at the time. And, of course, that became, oh, you don't want to sue WWF because your husband works there. And you don't want to sue it because all you care about is your legacy. And your husband wants a job. This would be Jim's wife, Natalia's mother. I forget her name. I think it's, I don't want to say Georgia. I don't remember what her name is. But that one. And then there were some stories that came out later that after Bret did the belt for AEW, that he didn't do anything else with AEW because he felt like it might have affected Natty in WWE. And Bret has really been sensitive to the concept that perhaps him working with AEW would have a negative effect on Natalia's career in WWE. So if Bret was to go to AEW and do anything, he's worried that something may happen to Natalya. They may cut her, or they may demote her or diminish her in some capacity. And I say to Bret Hart, if you could put a silver bullet in that thing, please do it. If anything that you can possibly do, it would be worth you doing. If you can put a silver bullet in the middle of what we call Natalya's career, please kill that thing if you could. Please. Now, I know a lot of people have asked me to do a Smart Tier segment on the Bret Hart to AEW thing. And I said, I didn't see enough salt. I saw some people get pretty upset, but I didn't see a lot of salt. I mined that thing for a good hour or two, looking for some of the worst, most crappy takes. And I saw some, but not enough for me to spend a lot of time on. But just to satisfy a little bit of that audience, people who want me to say something like, man, there are people out there and they're crazy. So we're going to give a little bit of a backstory, because I'm going to give a little bit of that smart tears. Give it a little bit, not a lot. And then I'm going to have to explain why what they're saying makes no sense anyway. So this one says, Bret Hart, shocked and so disappointed that you have chosen money over family. WWE contract, why? Surely going to AEW and honoring your brother would have been better. Best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. Really? Shame on you. Now, here's the problem with that. The problem ain't Bret. The problem is Martha. People need to realize that the problem is always Martha. Who even knows? And this is the question. When Dave Meltzer came out recently and said that he talked to Bret Hart, again, Bret, why is he talking to Bret Hart? Anyway, and he says they never asked him to be in Las Vegas to do the finals of the Owen Hart tournament. They never asked him. Don't you think there may have been a reason why they never asked him? Because Martha and Bret don't get along. And there's this story, there's this belief, there's this idea that everybody was against Martha suing the WWE. That is not true. If you want to know the details, go to my Owen Hart Dark Side of the Ring episodes. I go through the entire detail of everything that happened to Owen and the details of what happened with Martha and all that kind of stuff. I also did a backgrounder on the book that not Martha wrote, but that a wrestling journalist wrote on the Hart family. It talked extensively about the situation that took place within the Hart family regarding the lawsuit between WWE and the Harts. Now, the short answer to this is that the lawyers in the case worked for Martha, not the Harts. So they were telling Martha, whatever, that WWE offered them $30 million or some shit like that. It was an enormous figure. But she wanted more money. She wanted to basically bankrupt the WWE. That was her plan. Then she started doing some stuff that was a little unsavory. She was making backdoor deals with the company that actually made the clip. If you saw the Dark Side of the Ring episode, she actually kept the clip that supposedly was attached to Owen's jacket when he fell from the ceiling. She kept that. The company who made that clip, Martha made a deal with them that she would not sue them if they aided her in suing WWE. So apparently there were people in the family who saw that, found out about it, and snitched. All right? They told. And that became a big issue, because then that's when Martha starts to say, hey, they stole my legal documents and they reported to WWE, yada, yada, yada. It was a bunch of stuff she had no business doing. All right? It was shady. It was underhanded. She had no business doing that. It was, it was a problem. So then the bigger issue came once some of the members of the family just wanted to settle and let this thing go, and mainly because of the stress that it was applying to the parents. They wanted to end this thing. Martha wanted for it to go on and on and on, because she wanted to get as much money as she possibly could. After they busted Martha making backdoor deals with the company that made the clip, that big money announcement, that $30 million or whatever, it shrank. It shrank to like 17 million or something like that. And it got crazy from there. So Martha basically blames the Hart family for her not getting the money that she felt that she's owed, around that lawsuit. And then she blamed everybody, saying that they turned on her. And then the big problem occurred, because right after the lawsuit was finalized, or right after it was over, the British Bulldog went to WWF, went back from WCW. So now it was a big deal, saying you didn't want to sue WWE because you wanted your husband to get a job. You didn't want to sue WWE because you want your husband, this will be Jim the Anvil Neidhart, you wanted him to get a job. And now there are other Harts, Natalia, TJ, and some others that work in WWE currently. So now Martha is going to criticize any Hart who does business with WWE. She sectioned off her family from the rest of the Harts. She doesn't want anything to do with them. So she probably, and from what we have seen from Martha, in terms of her Dark Side of the Ring appearance. She did Dark Side of the Ring. There were no other Harts in the Dark Side of the Ring episode. There were none. Want to know why? Martha doesn't mess with them. Now, here's another thing, and I told people about this when I talk about Vice. Vice was in bed with, I don't want to mean that literally, not literally, but they were in bed with the Owen Hart Foundation. They started putting out Owen Hart merchandise shortly after the Owen Hart episode of Dark Side of the Ring. That would have been fine if they would have told people when this episode aired that they were doing a business deal with Martha Hart. They did not do that. Instead, they tried to make it seem like we're just supporting Owen Hart or whatever. It's like, no, this is a business deal between Martha and Vice. In order to get her to tell her story, they acquiesced to certain demands. One of her demands is that she doesn't want to deal with anybody else. She doesn't want anybody counteracting anything that she says. So anything that might be false, she doesn't want that corrected. And therefore, it wasn't corrected. And I went through this on my Dark Side of the Ring episode, a lot of stuff that she was saying. Some of it was kind of sketchy. Now, some of it was true, but some of it was kind of sketchy. So Dark Side of the Ring, completely in the can for Martha. Likely same decision here when it comes to AEW. Likely the same thing. All right. It's probably we don't deal with any of the other Harts. I would be surprised if anybody other than Martha and the kids are there. I would be surprised if Bruce or anyone else shows up to help present the Owen Hart trophy or whatever it's going to be. I would definitely be surprised if it was anybody other than just Martha and the kids. From what we know, from what I know especially, Martha doesn't mess with the rest of the family. Period. So a lot of people are really kind of over over the moon about this thing. This isn't the smart tier segment everybody wanted. This is more of a bubble buster. So to recap, WWE offered Bret Hart a Legends contract in 2018. He turned it down. He didn't want to sign his name over to WWE. All they really need to do from there is negotiate terms of the usage of his name and face. That's really all they need to do. If it took 4 years for them to do that, it's probably because WWE figured we don't need to do that. And then they decided, you know what? It's important enough for us, maybe now because Bret is about to go do AEW or his name is popping up in other places. He's got other opportunities. It's a good leverage for Bret. All right, we'll let him do whatever he wants. We'll get the bag anyway. We'll get him for video games, posters, interviews, stuff like that. Makes us no issue. Bret was never asked to do the Owen Hart tournament, according to Dave Meltzer, who I guess knows because I guess he talked to Bret. We didn't see Bret say anything yet. I will have to amend this video if Bret makes a comment, but I feel like I need to make this video while it's timely, and then we'll make any kind of re-reporting later on. So apparently, Bret was never even asked to do the Owen Hart thing, and from what I know, Martha is involved. Martha probably wouldn't want Bret involved anyway. So there it is, clear as crystal. I don't see any problem here. This is a big fat nothing burger. You could have just said Bret signs WWE Legends deal, might have something to do with FTR and CM Punk wearing his merchandise and shouting him out and doing his moves in every goddamn match, which 9 times out of 10 it does. But do you think anybody cares? No, it's business. And I don't think these guys are going to be less of Bret Hart fans. They're probably going to be happy that Bret got the bag, because Bret probably did get the bag, man. And it's right, this is the right thing to do. So these Legends contracts, these Hall of Fame rings, this kind of stuff, it's all business. Like, some people just don't get it in their minds that, yes, Sable and Rick Martel and all these people should be in the Hall of Fame, but then they turn it down, for whatever reason. They don't want anything to do with wrestling. They don't think it's enough money. The Legends contracts are too restrictive, or whatever the case may be. We should ask deeper questions than just saying people don't want to do it or that WWE is at fault. Because it's not WWE's fault that Bret Hart has been wandering the earth like Kane and Kung Fu for the last 4 years doing whatever he wanted. That's what he wanted to do. That was his choice. Now, if they came back to him on his terms, then he wins. And I don't have a problem with Bret Hart winning.